Hi there, welcome to my presentation from News C11022, Analyzing Creativity. My name is Konstantinos Pavlopoulos and I will be guiding you through an analysis of creativity. Together, we will explore how creativity manifests in different forms, specifically through the work of the influential figure John Coltrane and his world-renowned album Ascension. John Coltrane was a key figure in the evolution of jazz music in America. He revolutionized jazz music with his innovative ideas. He was one of the pioneers of avant-garde music and where he liked to improvise on the spot and illustrate his creativity. John Coltrane experienced a spiritual awakening in 1957, which led to him to wanting to express his universal love through music. He continued on his musical journey and started to convey his message of universal love. Coltrane thought that his music would change the world and create a sense of unity and peace. He was an inspiration to many people because of his virtuosic talent and spiritual depth. Coltrane was a symbol of dedication, resilience, and artistic growth. In 1965 was also the year for the creation of the most powerful human sound ever written, the Ascension. The idea came to Coltrane in a dream in 1961. John said that he dreamed a band of 15 or 20 cats with everyone playing free. He invited Freddie Hubbard and Dwayne Johnson on trumpets, Marion Brown and John Ciccai on alto saxophones, Archie Shepp and Pharoah Saunders on tenor saxophones, Art Davis on bass, to collaborate with his quartet in this new thing of freedom amongst all those musicians who were labeled as avant-garde. According to Porter's book John Coltrane and His Life, several commentators have noticed that Ascension seems to be loosely based on scales, which are more easily heard than chords in this ensemble. David Church identifies four scales being B-flat minor, D Phrygian, G-flat Lydian, and F Phrygian. For the individual solos, the B-flat minor is the general scale, and Coltrane moving away from playing a steady beat. Archie Shepp, who participated in that set, points out the kind of unity and the high level of intensity that there was. With this album, Coltrane became a member of the free jazz avant-garde with no turning back. I will now explore three concepts which help explain the different aspects of creativity. These concepts are Csikszentmihalyi's flow, Bourdieu's three types of capital, and Latour's actor-network theory. I will discuss its theoretical framework in the upcoming slides and how they link to John Coltrane's creativity. Csikszentmihalyi's flow is a theoretical framework that refers to a state of complete immersion and deep focus in an activity. For example, musicians may experience deep enjoyment and creative expression, often losing track of time while performing at their best. This state can cause musicians to enter a trance-like state, fully absorbed in their performance. John Coltrane experienced flow by becoming fully immersed in his music, being spontaneous and losing track of time while deeply focusing on the free jazz improvisation in his album Ascension. Csikszentmihalyi's flow channel refers to some words like flow, boredom, control, arousal, anxiety, relaxations, worry. John Coltrane went beyond of these words and he preferred to choose words like suppression and universal love. Pierre Bourdieu wrote about three types of capital within the cultural field. The first is the economic capital, which refers to money, property, and environment. The second is the cultural capital, which refers to education and cultural knowledge. And the third is the social capital, which refers to social connections. Pierre Bourdieu was interested in how the organization of culture and the social world around us could affect our individual view of the world. We didn't pick the culture we like, but in some ways culture picked us, make us act in certain ways. How cultural and social phenomena connect us to the wider world. Our tastes, accents, styles of speaking, mannerisms and values can be the product of our social environment and our own minds. Our family's exposure to specific cultural artifacts, our economic possibilities, or the school that we attend can build a mindset that belongs to a specific environments. Borges showed cultural capital. He showed that if we are brought up in an aristocratic family, we will follow the cultural artifacts that school and friends provide us. I believe John Coltrane found his way in the album of Ascension because all these three types of capitals are connected to each other and related with John Coltrane. 11 people that played in the Ascension came all of the same environment, had all of them the same social connections. They were African Americans that had and share the same culture. And from my perspective, I believe this helped the people to find the chemistry to create something out of this world, like Ascension. Bruno Latour said that humans and no humans tend to shape a phenomenon. Actor network theory is an influential but controversial approach to understanding humans and their interactions with inanimate objects. For instance, the instrument itself has agency. Coltrane probably tried to explore his saxophone in every aspect that someone could experiment with the instrument. He had already proved that he was a virtuoso musician, and it probably made it easier for his musicians to accept and understand Coltrane's creativity. The result is that he managed to make the noise aesthetically acceptable to his environment. From my perspective, the way that he chose brass instruments was to create the chaos and the suppression that his reality experienced in that period. The intensity that Ascension has is because of the message that this album wants to pass through music. The message is that by being free, we can love everything, accept everything, and we can create a paradise in a world that is unfair to the vast majority. The environment that he recorded and the brass are related with the actor network theory. From my perspective, when I listened to Ascension, I felt a chaos of sounds that it can upset me. If you keep listening, the album it makes you feel that something very deep happened in that recording. The musicians used free notes, techniques, noises, and a great performance of skills to prove that solidarity is above every rule in the world. The problem with the new as an idea is that people learn to assimilate and not research for something new. Bowden made a distinction between peak creativity and age creativity. Psychological creativity refers to the person coming up with a surprising idea as a new, even if it's not new because it reminds something else. Historical creativity refers to this new idea not being articulated before through history. From my perspective, Ascension is related with a historical creativity because nobody played something like that before. His quartet played an important role to inspire himself. Elvin Jones' intensity on drums offered him, as he said, the real freedom of music. Some people were struggling to play with Elvin Jones because he was playing very complicated and very loud. Coltrane got inspired from his unique style, and he got inspired to work with him and create new soundscapes in his creative world. McCoy Tyner in Kiss was the person who could keep steady the beat, and even Coltrane was out of the tempo and the groove, he could manage to follow him and make the groove musical. Jimmy Garrison was a real virtuoso bass player that he could perceive the music in the highest standards, and this helped Coltrane to play as free as he could, because he was confident enough that Jimmy will follow him and soar with him. Coltrane discovered new soundscapes in music in that period, and he found the right people to share the same vision. The spirituality influenced his creative journey because inside of him believed that his purpose in this world was his quest to share universal love through his music. The romantic myth that ascension was something divine framed by Coltrane and his musicians that took part in that project. Baudelaire refers to the true artist as something unconscious. In Coltrane's example, people see Coltrane as something divine, as a person who really had a spiritual awakening, and his musicians felt privileged to play with a spiritual Coltrane who could impact the jazz, and everyone could be part of this change. He focused on emotion over technique. However, his technique was excellent, and this probably made a difference in dynamics, tempo, and difficult paths of notes that only Coltrane could play with long time breath techniques. His virtuosity in modal jazz played an important role to express his emotions through music with innovative ideas. I believe that Coltrane inside of him believed on his quest in this world, and people that were close to him said that Coltrane was always a researcher about the new. All the musicians that played with Coltrane said that when Coltrane played was like a spirit played with them, something divine who made them perceive music with a different vision. McCoy Tyner said that Coltrane could listen to music in his dreams, and he would the next day explain to his musician that the god showed him the way to play this. This is a romantic myth that many artists use to boost their confidence. Coltrane managed to convince his musicians and follow him the purpose of his quest. As we can see, John Coltrane made history in avant-garde, and his music will live eternally. Coltrane's interest about philosophy is something that probably could inspire his creativity. Researching inner matter of soul can make people perceive themselves as something different. His love for philosophy made Coltrane explore the reality through creativity. For instance, Coltrane was interested for yogi, whose quest was the ultimate truth. He was interested for both Eastern and Western spirituality. That shows how open-minded he was. The journey appears to have originated in his Christian faith from his early life as a Methodist, which instilled a deep love of God. However, as Coltrane matured as a private individual and as a musician who traveled widely, his outlook grew more pantheistic, and the core spirituality he sought and recognized in other faiths became the driving force at the heart of all his work. His desire to explore God through his universal music was to live the truly religious life and express his spirituality in his faith, his knowledge, and his being through his art. Another example is the Indian philosopher Jiddu Krishnamurti, who believed each person must work personal change in order for the world at large change. He also wrote that the war is a result of our so-called peace. We can see that everything is related with Coltrane's culture, and I believed he wanted so much to change the world that he dedicated all his life researching. This made him an expert of literacy, and many people admired his quest. I will now analyze the creativity of John Coltrane's album, Ascension. Let's have a listen to Coltrane playing parts of the album so you can understand the authenticity of his music. To me, listening to this song feels like the musicians are portraying their daily lives, capturing pieces of their reality within the album. The brass section, for example, evokes the sound of elephants almost as if it's echoing the wideness of nature. When John Coltrane and his musicians recorded Ascension in New York, they sought to channel the chaotic energy of their surroundings, a concrete jungle of sorts. The music reflects the bustling, unpredictable rhythm of New York City life, bringing to mind the raw, untamed energy of both the urban and natural worlds. Coltrane was a genius because he understood that people already had an innate ability to interpret noise as part of their reality. He wanted listeners to grasp that music is profound, something that requires openness and acceptance. Coltrane liberated music through his talent, creating a sound that was deeply empathetic and accessible to others. He also had a remarkable technique that allowed him to play music continuously without stopping. For example, he could play for 30 minutes and not feel tired. He played with such intensity that his passion resonated with listeners around the world. I believe that this is something very creative in which highlights authenticity and individuality, allowing Coltrane's unique talent to stand out within the music industry. Now, Coltrane is a legend who will always be remembered for his creativity and his fearless approach to pushing musical boundaries, inspiring generations of musicians and listeners alike. I will now leave you with the rest of the clip to enjoy. Thank you very much for listening to and watching my presentation. If you are interested in my research, then here are a list of the references I have used to conduct my analysis and support the points I have shared today.